Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about the second chapter in the Algebra 1 textbook called Modeling Quantities. But before we do that, we're going to review over the first video, which was about solving equations. So in this example we have 2 over 7 m, because you know how anything can be a variable such as a, b, c, any letter practically, minus 1 over 7, 1/7, is equal to 3 over 14. So now, how do we solve this? So remember, because these are fractions, we want all of these numerators right here to be like the same. So in order to do this, instead of adding 1/7, we need 1/7. We want it to equal 14 because we can't make this 14 a 7 because there's a 3 up here, which can't be divided by 2, at least in this case. So we're going to convert 1/7 to something over 14. We don't know what this is. So 7, how can 7 go to 14? You multiply it by 2. So we're going to do the same to the top by 2. So that gives you 2 over 14. So going back to this equation, let me just write it again over here. We're going to just add 2 over 14 because that's actually what 1/7 is. So like in the last video, you add, if there's a negative number right here, you have to add it to cancel it and make it 0. So we're going to add 2 over 14 to this side. So this cancels out, becomes 0. So we have a 2 over 7 here, which is equal to 3 over 14 plus 2 over 14. Remember, the denominators don't get added up. They stay as the same number it was. If they are the same down here, then they just stay the same. So we're just going to add 3 plus 2, which is 5 over 14. So 2 over 7m is equal to 5 over 14. So all we have to do now is we don't need to make this the same denominator. We just need to cancel out this fraction so it can multiply by this fraction to give you the sole value of m, because we can't have anything beside or added to, subtracted to, divided by the variable. So in order to cancel out this little number here, we're going to multiply it by the opposite. Because if you multiply it by 2 over 7, it'll just be 2 over 7 squared, right? But we can't have that. So we need it to be the opposite, where it cancels out like this. So we reciprocated it. That's what it's called, for the opposite. So we do the same. We just multiply it by 7 over 2. So m is essentially equal to 1.25. If you put it into a calculator, it's 1.25, or if you want to keep it in terms of a fraction, it's going to be sorry, something happened. But in order to make it a fraction, you just have to do the same thing to this side where so we're going to just take this fraction into consideration. So we need to simplify it in some way in order for us to help us feel like it's going to be a little easier, right? So you simplify opposites like this, how it's an x's, like that. You do it to this side, except now it's going to go to 2 and then 1. Because you're simplifying it. You're reducing it by half, or by 7, sorry. You're reducing it by 7 because it's the common factor between each. It's a common number. So 2 and 1. So now over here we actually have 5 over 2 times 1 over 2. So When it's multiplication, you don't keep the denominator the same. You have to multiply both top and bottom. You can't just keep it the same. So we're just going to multiply the top and we're going to multiply the bottom together to make it one number. 5/4. That's it. That's the answer. 1.25 is equal to 5/4. So now we're going to do the new part of the new chapter, which is modeling quantities. So, for example, we're going to convert pints to quarts. So the factor that you have to multiply by a conversion factor, which for this is the conversion factor is half, because so we're converting pints to quarts. That's the first step. So for every 1 quart, there's 2 pints. So this is going to be the ratio. So in this question, it's saying that a human adult has 12 pints of blood. Okay? But they want us to convert this 12 into quarts. So how do we convert pints into quarts? So similarly, how it's 2 goes to 1, we're doing 12 goes to x. Or you could say question mark right here. So we want to know how it goes to x, or like what would x equal? So in this case, how does 2 go to 12? And how can 1 go to x? So 2 times what, or divided by what, is equal to this number, is equal to 12. So 2 times question mark is equal to 12. So all you do is divide by a 2 right here. And so the question mark is 6. So that means there's 6 quarts, because if this is times 6, this is times 6. 6 quarts of blood. That's the answer. But we need to represent this not in terms of letters, because obviously this is math. We need to represent this in terms of equations and equalities. So what we're going to do for this is, since this is the like what they've given us, we need to find what the answer is. We need to find the 6 quarts. So how are you going to do that with this information right here? How are you going to do that? So what you have to do is there's 12. We're going to write PT as pints. And we're just going to multiply it. Since it's pints, what you have to do is multiply it by 1 quart over 2 pints. The reason why we're doing this is we need to be able to cancel out pints, because we don't need the pints, we need the quarts. So we need to be able to cancel out this pints right here and be left with only a quarts. You'll learn more about this in honors chemistry, regs chemistry, or AP chemistry, but for now, we'll just stick to this. So you basically just need to cancel this out. We don't need it. So now all we do is we're doing 12 times 1.5 is equal to a blank amount of the quarts. So that's equal to 6, because this is equivalent to 12 divided by 2. Easy, right? Okay, we're going to do one more example. So for this next example, we're doing the same thing, except it's 12 pints of blood going to, what's the gallons? Gallons. Okay, so for this, same thing, same situation, except I'm just going to show you in terms of the equations format, because that's actually what teachers are looking for. So we have to multiply by a conversion factor for to convert from pints to quarts to gallons. So first we're going to start off with these 12 pints, right? So now, sorry, this is also a different way to do it in chemistry, but here, let me just erase this because it might confuse it. Okay, so we're going to do 12 pints. We're going to multiply this by 2 pints per 1 quart, right? Now we need gallons. We don't need quarts. Who needs quarts, right? So now all we're going to do is we're going to do how many quarts are in a gallon? There's 4. So now 4 quarts for every 1 gallon. And the reason why we're putting quarts at the bottom this time is similar how we wanted to cross out these pints over here. We don't need those pints. We don't need the quarts. So in order to cross out the quarts, you can't multiply them by each other by putting the quarts on top. You have to put it below so you can cancel them out, which leaves you with only this gallon factor right here. So now, to simplify this, it's 12 times the half times the 1/4. So we know that this number is equal to 6 times 1/4. You can write it as 6/4, or you can write it as 1/2 gallons. Always remember to include your units, or sometimes you can get points off, because that's what my teachers did to me. So just keep that in mind. But I would leave it in this just because it looks a little more easier, and we don't use this as often in the future maths. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.